Hey Bears fans, Harrison Graham here on Chicago Bears Now, back with another video. We're going to take a look at 6 players the Bears could cut to shed some salary cap space for the 2021 season. First, let's get some background info on the Bears salary cap situation. As of now, they have roughly $192.6 million in contracts allotted for 2021. What's this salary cap number going to be in 2021? We don't know because of COVID. Last year, in the 2020 season, it was just over $198 million. There's been speculation it could go down. There's been speculation that they could just keep it around the same, borrow some money from future cap years. But obviously, the NFL didn't generate as much revenue this year because there weren't fans in stadiums. But as of now, hard to know. But the Bears do have a lot of money tied up, which is why they'll probably look to shed some cap space this offseason. Now, before we get into my 6 candidates the Bears could cut, get subscribed to the channel. 21,000 subs just around the corner. We're 63 subs away from 21,000. I appreciate everybody who is subscribed. If you haven't, hit that big red button. We're putting out daily videos, including different type of videos just like this one. 21,000 subs. Let's get there. No one covers the Bears like I do here on Chicago Bears Now. So go ahead, hit that sub button, and turn on those notifications so you never ever miss a video. Okay, let's take a look at 6 players that the Bears could cut, 6 salary cap cut candidates for this offseason heading into next year in 2021, obviously. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. 3 offensive players, 6 defensive players. Jimmy Graham, the tight end. And we've talked about this a little bit. This was pretty much the case as soon as they signed him this past offseason. His cap number for next year, $10 million, dead cap of just $3 million. That saves Chicago $7 million if they cut him. Look, had a great year, outplayed my expectations with his 8 touchdowns, but it's pretty likely he's gone this offseason. I think Cole Kmet grew enough that they'll roll with him as the top tight end. Maybe they'll add a veteran backup as the number 2 guy, or maybe Demetrius Harris lines up and ends up being that number 2 tight end. Jimmy Graham was great. He came in here and did pretty much everything you could have asked for with his production last year, having 50 catches, over 450 yards, and 8 touchdowns. But at 33, 34 years old, $10 million for Jimmy Graham and what he brings to the table at this point, it's just too expensive. I love Jimmy Graham, great career. I think it's pretty likely he gets cut this offseason. But I'll leave it up to you guys. What should the Bears do with Jimmy Graham? Type K if you think they should keep him. Type C if you think they should cut him. Obviously, with all of these guys, they could explore either an extension or restructuring their contracts. I don't think that's likely with Jimmy Graham, so K for keep or C for cut. All right, let's go to the offensive line here. Charles Leno Jr. You guys know I'm not a big fan of his, but he played a little better this year. Over $11.2 million against the cap next year. If you cut him, you save over $6 million. If you make him a post-June 1 cut, you save $9 million. Now, the risk of doing that is you can't actually spend that money that you're saving until after June 1st. Free agency happens in March into April, so it doesn't help you a ton, but if you designate him a post-June 1 cut, he only counts $2 million in dead cap money, so keep that in mind. Now, Charles Leno did play better in 2020 than he did in 2019. Let's be fair and let's be honest about that. That being said, he's still severely overpaid. He's about a league average left tackle. League average tackles can't make $11.3 million. It's just way too much money for Charles Leno. Now, if they wanted to restructure him, slide him over to right tackle, and draft a left tackle, you might be able to talk me into that. But at $11.29 million, that's too much money for what he provides to this Bears offensive line. We got some more players to get into, but first, I want you guys to get going with Bet Rivers. They're going to give you a 100% deposit match at sign up. So go to chatsports.com/betil, chatsports.com/betin. Go gamble on sporting events with Bet Rivers and make some money. It's Championship Sunday in the NFL. If you're watching right now, still got a few hours until kickoff between the AFC title game. You can go bet on that game. If you're watching at a later date or after kickoff, you can bet on all kinds of games like the Super Bowl. Chatsports.com/betin for you Indiana folks. Chatsports.com/betil for you Illinois folks. You must be within one of those states to place a bet, but you can sign up and deposit from anywhere. We got one more offensive lineman. How about Bobby Massie, the right tackle, who was banged up the second half of the season? $9.3 million against the cap. Again, too much. Dead cap only $2.6 million, which means the Bears can save almost $7 million by simply parting ways with Bobby Massie. Again, if you make him a post-June 1 cut, he's only $1.3 million against the dead cap. But I think if you would cut him, you wouldn't wait till June 1st. You want that $6.7 million available right away because it's only an additional $1.3 million. Whereas with Leno, it's like $3 or $4 extra million. So that's a big difference if you make him a post-June 1 cut. But with Massie, I don't think you would do that. I think with these two guys, Leno and Massie, you can keep one and then go get another offensive tackle for the other tackle spot. But keeping both at their current cost, that's too expensive for average tackles because that's what they are at the end of the day, if not below average, if you honestly think that. Now pick one to keep. You keep one of these guys, could be a possibility. Type CL for Charles Leno Jr., type BM for Bobby Massie. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Maybe you keep Leno, slide him over to right tackle, cut Massie, draft a left tackle. Let me know what you guys think. Which one of these guys would you keep if you were in charge? Now let's go to the defensive side. We got three players here. Kyle Fuller. And the Bears are going to have to make some tough decisions on some of these guys. Fuller's a tough one because he's a good player. He's a leader. $20 million against the cap, though. That's quite a bit. You can save $11 million tomorrow if you cut him. You can save him an additional $3 million if you make him a post-June 1 cut. So you could save up to $14 million depending on when you cut Kyle Fuller if you choose to do that. Now, he's still got value. You could trade him. You could give him an extension to lower his cap number for this year. The Bears have options because Kyle Fuller is still a really good football player. Now, he didn't have the best season of his career, and I especially thought the final 4 to 6 weeks or so, he was not nearly the same player he was the first 8 to 10 games, so keep that in mind as well. Only 1 interception in 2020. He struggled in coverage the final 6 weeks. Now, Buster Skrine was hurt a lot of that time. Jalen Johnson was down. Eddie Jackson didn't play as well this year, so that certainly didn't help out Kyle Fuller. But at the end of the day, he's paid to be a number 1 lockdown corner. He was not that the final 6 weeks of the season. I like Fuller. He's a good player. I'm fine with him coming back. But $20 million is a lot of money for a guy that did not play like an all-pro this past season. So keep that in mind when it comes to Kyle Fuller. He's paid like a top 3, top 5 corner in the National Football League. Now, do you want Kyle Fuller back next season? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I would still like him back. I just wish that number could be lowered a little bit, which it could be depending on what the Bears decide to do. So type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know if you guys want Kyle Fuller back next season. Akiem Hicks, and this is obviously the biggest, decision the Bears have to make because he is the heart and soul of this defense and the heart and soul of this team, if we're being completely honest. But you look at the money, $12 million against the cap, you can save 10.5 of that, and that's not even post-June 1. You can save that tomorrow if you cut Akiem Hicks. That's a lot of money to free up. I mean, keep in mind, this Bears front office is going to explore the quarterback market. Some of these guys are going to have to go if they're going to be able to get a legitimate franchise guy, like a Deshaun Watson potentially, like a Matthew Stafford, even a Jimmy Garoppolo. If the Bears want to get one of these guys, they're going to have to make some tough calls with some of these contracts this offseason. Akiem Hicks could be a tough call, and he's still a good player. I applaud him for playing through injury the second half of the season, but he didn't have a sack over the last 6 or 8 games or so. Had a bunch of pressure, still impacted the game in a major way. He's still an excellent football player. I am not saying Akiem Hicks isn't great. What I'm saying is you can save $10.5 million for a defensive tackle / defensive end who's over the age of 30 and has some injury concerns. Kyle Fuller and Akiem Hicks, these are not going to be easy decisions. They might keep both these guys, and I'd be okay with it if they do. I'm just saying these are opportunities if you're looking to shed cap space, if you need to clear up some money to go get some of these free agents, bring back a guy like Allen Robinson, you're going to have to move somebody, right? Like, you can't just bring everybody back at their current cap number, go trade for a quarterback and re-sign Allen Robinson. Doesn't work. You're going to have to make some tough calls on your roster. We'll see what happens with these two veteran players. Pick one to keep because it's also possible maybe you keep one, maybe you trade one, maybe you cut one. We'll have to wait and see. Type KF if you want to keep Kyle Fuller. Type AH if you want to keep Akiem Hicks. If you had to pick one, let me know which one you're keeping down in the comments section. And this last one's probably a no-brainer on the defensive side. Buster Skrine, $6.1 million against the cap next year. He's an average nickel at this point who was banged up with a concussion this year. Now, there could be medical incentives for Skrine. If he doesn't clear protocol this offseason, that could be a problem. But his dead cap, just over $3 million. If you make him a post-June 1 cut, it saves $5 million in total salary cap space. I think that's a no-brainer for a guy who honestly struggled pretty heavily in 2020 in the games he did play. Again, he missed the final month in the playoff game with a concussion there, which is a little bit concerning that he never cleared protocol there. But $6 million for average nickel corners, that's overpaying. You can get that production. Honestly, Duke Shelley and or Kendall Vildor can give you similar production for rookie day 3 type of contracts, right? Like less than $1 million per year. So I like Skrine. He's been a decent player for this Bears defense, but I think cutting him is probably going to end up being a no-brainer, especially since this is the last year of his contract anyway. So I'm pretty confident that he will not be on this roster in 2021. Now, name a player the Bears should cut this offseason. I just gave you 6 guys. If you think it's one of those guys, let me know. If you want to list multiple names, you can do that. If I'm forgetting somebody, this is your opportunity. Go ahead and comment below in the comments. Name a player the Bears should cut this offseason. It's Sunday afternoon. We'll see you guys on Monday here on Chicago Bears Now.